So today, lads, I'm going to talk about something that I think is kind of big to talk about because, look, if I'm being real here, a lot, and I mean a lot of people are complaining about this, and it is Paige Beckers last night. So Paige Beckers last night went and played against the Portland Fire. They killed the Fire. She was fine. Like, she had a good game. She had 22 points, 11 assists, but she stayed in this game for the whole thing. She stayed in the game for the entire thing. And for me, this is no issue. Because Paige in her career has had what? 3 20-point, 10-assist games in her entire career? If you are on for something you've never had before, I have no issue with being pulled from the game or with staying in the game. Just like early on in the year when Paige Beckers got pulled when she was going to probably get a triple-double. And she got pulled. And I'm like, man, Jose, just let her go get her triple-double. Because I think it was like the game before everyone was complaining because, I can't remember, it was the Mystics they were killing. They were killing somebody, and Paige had like 7 points with 5 seconds to go in the third quarter and ended with 24 because she just cooked in the fourth, and then she was on triple-double the next game and subbed herself out. But it's like, it does feel like in this scenario, because it feels like this weird like back and forth argument, because we have, as I've spoke about, where it's like, where you've got some of the same people that were basically trying to go out there and say that Caitlin was stat padding, even though it was a really close game the entire way. That Paige isn't stat padding because they wanted her to be on the floor when they wanted to make sure she was on the floor when they got to the playoffs for the first time in her career. And I'm like, she wasn't even on the floor when the game ended. But no, she stayed on the floor to get 20 points. Like, there are times where you're like, okay, if you're about to make history, like if the Fever are up 15 points in a game for the rest of the year and Kelsey Mitchell's on 18 points, I don't care if she stays in to keep the streak. I don't really care that much. If it's at the expense of winning or losing, or if another team starts fouling her to intentionally get 20, if that happens even once, then very, very clearly, you just end it there and then. Like, if you guys don't remember with the Angel Reese thing in 2024, like the first time she was on, when she broke the record, she basically... Fee had to foul her. She had tied the record, and when she was going to break it herself, Fee fouled her to let her break the record, and she went 1 of 2 from the free throw line. I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna miss both. And I'm like, I'm okay with that one. But then people started, like Tina Charles fouled her, and a few people started fouling her and letting her score, and she started cherry picking to keep the record. Like, she stopped playing defense and started going under the other team's basket to get a double-double. And it's like, that's when it goes too far. But like, Paige wasn't out there forcing shit. She was just playing basketball, and she just stayed in the game probably a bit longer than she should have. But at the same time, like, it's something that she only does a couple of times. And I hate to say this, history looks very fondly amongst people like building up their stats. It does. Like, I don't mean that Angel Wilson didn't deserve to win MVP in 2024. She won it unanimously, mostly because she beat down on bad teams. I think she averaged 27 points per game on the year, but I think she averaged like 23 points per game against playoff teams and averaged over 30 points per game against non-playoff teams. So, like, that matters. That clearly matters, if we're being honest. That matters. Again, I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I don't think that's the reason why she won MVP, but I think it's the reason she won unanimously, because her team was the 4th seed. I think the reason why she won unanimously was because they left her in the game to drop 40 on bad teams. Like, history looks very fondly on stat padding, which is why I was like, oh, let Caitlin get her 40 against Chicago. Let Caitlin get her 40. But I don't understand how you can not look at it both ways, where it's like, first of all, there are times Caitlin Clark has stat padded. The Chicago game was not one of them. The one time, if you ever want to accuse Caitlin Clark of stat padding, the easiest game to go to was the Portland Fire 26-point triple-double, where she was on 9 assists and she was just, the game was over and she was trying to make sure, she was trying to make sure she got that 10th assist. Like, it is what it is. And had she got the 10th assist, the odds of her trying to get the first ever 30-point triple-double, she might have done that too. Like, it is nearly impossible to either set a career high, to make history, if you are not stat padding. Like, nearly all records are broken in games where it either goes to overtime or when players are on the floor longer than they should be. Like, nearly everything happens then. So I'm like, I have zero issue with Paige wanting to stay in that game. Because Paige Beckers does not often, she was in the game with 2 minutes to go. And she had 16 points. At this time in the game, she had 16 points. She had 16 points at this stage. So she got her last, 5 points in the last few minutes of the game. But if you're looking, like, Shepard's on the floor, Enrique's on the floor, like, they didn't fully pull their starters. Carla Late's in the game for Portland. It's like, it's this weird thing where it's like, we saw it with Caitlin. It's like, oh yeah, to stop stat padding, Caitlin should have checked herself out of the game. Or they should have pulled Caitlin out of the game. It's like, could they have lost the game? Sure. But, who cares? Who cares if they lost the game? It's better to lose ethically than win stat padding. Fuck that. If a coach wants to leave their starters in an entire game, do it. If a player wants to play an entire game, do it. The fans in the crowd are not there to see stars check out of a game with 7 minutes to go because it's a 20-point blowout. They're not there for that. If they want to do that, if they want to rest, sure, go for it. But like, fans are not there. Fans are there to see stars put up big stats. They are not there to see stars in blowouts sub themselves out in the third quarter and watch bench v bench for the last quarter and a half of the game. They're not there for that. So I don't understand why anyone complains about stat padding. Because every star in the history of the sport has done it. Every star in the history of this sport has stat padded in some way. In some way, they have stat padded. Every, MVP in some way has done it. They have stayed, and by stat padding, I mean, have either gone and looked to make sure that they get a certain thing. But and it's not like she did anything egregious, like intentionally miss a layup on her own basket so that she would get her last rebound. Like, she didn't do anything egregious like that. What was Paige's flaw here? She played. She stayed in a basket. She played basketball. That was her massive sin, was that she played basketball. And yes, I understand. We had that dumbass tweet from Cindy Brunson about how she doesn't like how Caitlin Clark stat padded, and actually she respects Paige way more because she subbed out of the game. And I mean this when I say this. These players do not give a fuck about the respect of Cindy Brunson. These players don't give a fuck about the respect of me. Or if they do, they shouldn't, as in talking heads, media members. These players should not give a flying fuck about the respect of them. Do you want to know who the players should care about? Their coaches, their staff, their teammates, and the fans. That's it. That is it. As the only people. They should not give a shit about anything anyone says. Because if staying in the game is gonna help their team, or if staying in the game is, gonna help the fans. Yeah, I get it if the other team unloads their bench. But Meg DeLeo was on the floor late. Carla Late was on the floor late. Players don't like to give up. And it's this weird attitude of oh yeah, this game's out of reach, so we're gonna start subbing players off. And everyone knows, especially if you're a team like the Dallas Wings or Indiana Fever, especially last year's Dallas Wings. Last year's Dallas Wings would be up 18 points with 4 minutes to go and start losing games. They were up 17 with 3 minutes to go and got lost to the Aces last year. The Indiana Fever do the same shit as well. They were up 17 with 3 minutes to go and only beat the Sky by 3. It happens. And we're at the stage now where, I hate saying this, but social media runs this league so much that you're actually going to see, it might not happen this season, but you're going to see a team lose a game because their star is so scared about being accused of stat padding that they get subbed out and then they go and lose the game. You're going to see that at some stage. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. See you guys.